Hey class, this is Mrs. Lynn. Welcome to another week of remote learning. I hope you guys are still staying safe and healthy, that you got to go outside a little bit this weekend to enjoy the sun. So last week we had you log on to Google Classroom for the first time with a class code. And hopefully you were able to use your GA School account, your username and your unique password to get into Classroom and join the class. I think about six of you have, so that's awesome. And I think all of you that were able to get into the classroom were also able to answer my fun question of the week under the stream tab. So I'm going to go ahead and post another fun question this week. So make sure before you get anything else started, you can practice logging in again and answering that question and then logging back out. Now, for those of you who didn't have a chance to join the class, make sure you do that this week. It's important that you're able to get in so I can start um, maybe interacting with you a little bit more in there. Um, Now, during remote learning, I'll probably still be assigning homework from the GA homework page because if not everybody is connected through Google Classroom, I don't want to post any assignments there. But just make sure you do that sometime this week so you can get familiarized with the process. Google Classroom is something that we'll be using regularly once you get to third grade. So the earlier you can kind of get acquainted with the logging in process, the better. Remember, during the week, you can always reach out to me and ask questions if you have some issues with logging in. I'm always here to help. All right, so this week, after you have practiced getting in and out of Google Classroom, you're going to do a research activity using Google Forms. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But before we get started with that activity, I'm going to review some of the basic steps for research that we've talked about in class when school was still in person, but I know we haven't done it in a long time, so you probably don't remember the steps. So I just want to do a quick review. So looking at this little presentation in front of us, this is called Steps for Research. Now, research is just a fancy word for looking up information on a topic that you're interested in. Okay. And we probably all do that already to some extent, and you just don't realize that you've been doing research, right? So anytime you're looking up information on things that you're interested in, oops, I got out of my screen. Um, that's actually the beginning of research. Now, as you get older, that research process will be a little bit more complicated, but right now we're just going to worry about the four basic steps. Okay, so here are the four basic steps in the orange boxes. Now they're out of order, and it's our job to actually put them in the correct order. So let's look at the four boxes. The first one says look for information, okay? Organize information, choose a topic or a question that you're curious about, okay? And then the last box says present and share what you've learned. All right, so what do you think need to happen first before we can start our research process? Okay. Well, before we can start looking for information, what we need to do is to come up with a topic, right? We need to come up with a question that we're interested in. So I'm going to move that box into the right place. Okay. All right. And then now that we have a topic, what do you think the next step would be? Okay. The next step after we have chosen a topic would be to look for information. Now, you can look for information in a variety of places. Sometimes it could just be as simple as asking a parent or asking an expert that you know that maybe knows a lot about a particular topic. Okay. But a lot of times we can also look into books, we can look into magazines or newspapers, and also online. So, thinking about what your parents might do or what you do, like which one of these sources do you think is the most common? Okay, so right now, probably most of us will look up information online as our first kind of place to look. We Google a lot throughout the day. There's just a lot of information on the internet, right? So that's probably the most common place now for people to look up information. But remember, books are always a really good resource, um, and so don't forget that as we're doing our research. The next step following that is to organize our information. And part of that step is to make sure that you understand the information you have gathered. So let's say we're looking up information in a book or online. A lot of times we'll come across information that's actually really hard to understand. It might be written for somebody who's at a whole different reading level. It could be written for a college student or maybe written for an adult. Okay, so you might come across information that might be perfectly good, but that just might not be what you're looking for. Okay, because if you don't understand what you're reading, that information is no good to you. Right. So make sure as you're gathering facts and information on your topic that you can actually understand that information and sort of organize it in your head. Right. And once you have done that, then the last step is to share that information with other people. Now, you can again do that in several ways. A lot of us do these PowerPoint presentations or slideshows as a really fun way to share information with others, and it's just like what I'm doing now. But you can also write a little book. Maybe you can write a little paragraph or story sharing what you have learned. Or you can verbally tell somebody your information, right? But that last step is actually really important. Once you have chosen a topic that you're curious about and looked up information and understood that information, you don't want to keep that to yourself. You want to share that with people around you and maybe the world. So, those are the four basic steps of the research process. And let's try to now put that in a more practical scenario. So, in this scenario, uh, the student is curious about sloths. So, they're doing a report or research project on sloths. So, the four steps of the scenario are in the orange boxes again. So, what do you think the first step is? So, before you can even start researching, what do you think the first thing that needs to happen is? All right. So, if you look through the boxes, I see that there's a box that says, I'm curious about sloths. Okay, that's the um, deciding on a topic step, right? So, the first step is to choose a topic. And because I'm curious about sloths, that would be my topic. So, that's the first step. Okay, let's look at the other three boxes. The next box says, I will tell my mom and dad about what I've learned. I will look up information in my favorite animal book about sloths. And then I take notes and try to understand the facts I've read. What do you think the second step is? All right, remember the second step after you have come up with a research question is to look up information, right? And then this box, the person is going to look up information in their animal book, okay, about sloths. Okay, so that was their step two. Okay, what do you think the third step is? Let me try to move this box up if I can. Okay, so we have two choices. I'll tell my mom and dad about what I've learned, or I'll take notes and try to understand the facts I've read. Okay, so hopefully you've chosen this last box, right? First, we're going to take notes. Okay, so before we can even share that information, we have to be able to understand what we've read. So we're going to take notes and try to understand the facts I've read. And then the very last step would be to telling your mom or dad about what you have learned. That's the sharing with others and the presenting to others part, right? So those are our 4 steps of basic research. I hope you understood that pretty clearly. If not, you can always rewind the video and watch that again. Okay, but I'm going to take you now to the activity sheet that you are going to complete using these 4 steps. All right, so on this screen, and this activity is linked in the Google Classroom, Google, so the GA homework page. There's a link there. So when you click on it, it will take you to this page. And basically, this is going to be a quick research activity on an animal that you're interested in. Okay, so we're going to follow the 4 basic steps. The first, you have to choose an animal that you want to research. That's the first step. The second step is you're going to find out more about the animals by using a book or magazine or a website. And I'm going to show you a website that you can use for this step. Okay. And then the last steps are organizing your information and sharing this information. And you're going to do that using this form. You're going to organize your information as you're doing your research, and then you're going to share this information with Mrs. Lin using this form. Okay. So let's look at this form really quickly so we know what information we're looking for. So the first thing you have to fill out is your name. Okay, so I'm going to go and actually fill that out as we go. The next thing you need to fill out is the animal you're researching. So you can do a zoo animal, a farm animal, any sort of reptiles or amphibians. But think about an animal you're really interested in, and then we're going to put that in that field. And then the third question is, where did you find this information? Um, is it from a book, a magazine, a website, or another source? Maybe your mom or dad is an animal expert. Maybe you found out that information from them. Okay, but you can check more than one places too. So let's say you used a book and also a website. You can choose both of those boxes. Okay, you can choose as many as resources you use. There's going to be a question about habitat. So where does your animal live? There's going to be a question about what your animal eats, their food and diet. And then there's a section on life cycle. So for this question, you can describe the animal's life cycle really briefly. You don't have to write a whole paragraph about it, just really quickly what that life cycle is. Or you can just tell me if there is a special name for the young or the babies of the animal. So, for example, if you're researching cats, we know that baby cats are called kittens, or dogs, and their babies are called puppies, right? So, if there's a special name for the young or the babies of that animal, you can write that in here. Or you can talk a little bit about the life cycle, depending on how much you want to type. And then in the next question, you're going to share at least 2 other facts about your animal. Okay. And then if you have any questions for me about the research process, you can also write them down here. And then when you're done filling out this form, you can click the submit form. Okay. So these are the questions I'm looking for in this activity. Those are your research questions. So I did mention earlier that there's a website I wanted to show you in case you want to try researching on a website. Okay, and this website is called Pebble Go, and you have free access if you live in Michigan, which we all do. So this is the link that you're going to click on. Okay, and I'll show you that link really quick. When you click on this link, it's going to take you to the Michigan Electronic Library. And then Pebble Go is one of the websites that they've listed. So once you have gone the page, you're going to go scroll down until you see a little link called Pebble Go. Okay. So right here, I see Pebble Go. Okay, that's the website we want. So you're going to click on it. Now I'm going to go and mute this website because it actually talks to you and it has music, but I'm going to mute it for now so it doesn't interfere with the video. All right. So this is a really fun page for kids who want to do research in these topics. So there's a whole animal section of this page which we're going to use, but you can also learn about science and famous people, dinosaurs and social studies. There's a lot of topics for you to choose from. Now for today, remember our research question is on an animal of our choice. So we're going to go into this section. Okay. Oh, and you see like it's talking to us because it actually is a website that has a lot of audio features, which is great for if you want the text to be read to you. All right, so I'm going to mute this website again. Okay, so let's see you're interested in let's see, a mammal. Okay, so you can click on the mammals page and then choose an animal from that page. Now, I know we kind of talked about sloths, so maybe let's go into this other mammal section and see if they have a page on sloths. Oh, right here. All right, so here's the sloths page. Okay, and then as you can see on this page, there's all these different topics within that sloths page. There's a whole page that describes the body of a sloth or just a description of what that sloth looked like. The habitat, which I know is a question on my Google form, right? Where this do sloths live? Food, life cycle, and then fun facts. So let's read this habitat page really quick because I know that's one of the questions on my form. It says sloths live in rainforests. They use their cloths to hang upside down in the trees. High in the canopy, they are safe from predators. Now, this page is really cool because I see a lot of red words on this page. And those are keywords that if you need definitions for those words, you can click on them and a definition will be given to you. All right, so that's a really nice feature when you're doing research on this website because it will give you some help with definitions and new words. Okay, so sloths live in rainforests. I think that's a good answer for our habitat question. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my form and fill this out. So we've decided on sloth. Now again, your animal will be different. And right now I'm just using a website. And then the habitat is rainforest. Now if you want to be challenged with your typing or just have more practice with your typing, try to answer the question in a complete sentence. So you can say sloth lives in the rainforest. Okay. And that's my first question. Okay. My second question was about food. What do they eat, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the food section. It says sloths look for food at night. They eat juicy fruits or juicy leaves, fruit, and shoots in the trees. They get water they need by eating the leaves. All right, so they eat juicy leaves, fruit, and shoots in the trees. All right, so let's go back to our form. What does your animal eat? So sloths eat juicy leaves, fruit, and shoots, tree. Okay, and that's all you have to do in order to finish this form. Um, Again, in the life cycle section, okay, you might just briefly describe their life cycle, or even just tell me a fact, like how long they can live. Um, Maybe if they have a special baby name, right? Just any little fact. You don't have to write a whole paragraph. And then, of course, you can go to the fun fact section and grab a fact to put in, or grab two facts for this last section here, where you have to share two facts about your animal. Okay, when you're done, remember you can click submit and I'll get a copy of your answers. Now, this week, because you're already submitting this form as your classwork assignment, you do not have to submit a separate check in form because when you have submitted this, I know that you have accessed the assignment, right? So you just need to submit this and not worry about the K2 check-in form. All right, so I hope this was pretty straightforward for you. I know it's a pretty long video, but you can always rewind if you need to watch part of what we talked about earlier. But have fun with this. This will be information we use in the next couple weeks for our animal book research project. So choose your animal wisely. Choose something that you're really passionate about and not just some random animal, because we're going to make a small little animal book based on what you choose this week. All right, so hopefully you have fun with this. And remember, if you have any questions during the week, you can reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll see you during our Friday story time and check in. Talk to you later.